Hello, everyone. This is Journey, Road, Adventure to National Masters, episode one. I'm Nathan Ziegler. I am a Class A player, and this is my journey, my road to National Master. And this tournament that I'm playing now, is the Benjamin Franklin Open in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. My first opponent is me in the future, 2300, um, and yeah, this got me. This is probably the best miniature I've ever played that I lost. With that being said, let's hop into it and see it. So okay, so I'm gonna be looking at the game without an engine. No engines allowed. It's bad for you. So my analysis will be wrong, but it will show you what I'm thinking about. Or this video will show you what I'm thinking about, and hopefully that's I don't know, that's insightful. Okay. So he plays the Catalan in the traditional move order, and I have mixed feelings. Well, about the Catalan. I've now learned that it is actually really stressful to play against someone who's like much higher rate than you, because they're sacrificing pawns. But I mean, I played against it against like Class B players, and I have decent results with it. But this is definitely the highest rated opponent that plays the Catalan against me. And I usually go for the open Catalan with D takes C4 and C5. I actually think it's not the most common approach. It's definitely like the main line, I think, but I'm not sure. But I thought it's my approach that I usually go for. And he goes Queen A4. I usually play more against Knight E5, and after Bishop D7, something like Knight A3. Like, I've seen this a few times over the board in over the board games. I've only really seen a Queen A4 in online games, but here it's good too, perfectly good too. And this is probably the first time I've ever seen this move. Usually they just take on C4, and then we have a game that goes something like this, and the game goes on. But instead he takes on C5, and I go Knight A5, and with Queen C2, I think I'm gonna hang on to this pawn forever. Like, sometimes, like in the Catalan, like you just give back the pawn. Other times you keep the pawn for a little bit, but then it goes away. But then this time I'm like, okay, I think with this move order, I actually keep the pawn basically forever. I think I was calculating here. I'm trying to remember. I remember I actually paused a little bit in this position because I was thinking about B3. I actually forgot why. I think it rook C8. Yeah, B3 and rook C8, and everything's fine because you can still take. You can still take on C4 if they want to win back their pawn, but they usually don't want to win back their pawn immediately. At least good players don't care about the pawn. I mean, at least they know when not to care about the pawn, I guess I should say. So I actually thought for a little bit. I actually have timestamps. I have timestamps on all this stuff. But after this point, we both played pretty much instantly. Then Knight E5, Rook C8. And I still felt pretty good here. And I played H6. I thought it was a useful move to go to prevent Bishop G5, and now I'm able to castle. Next, I don't have to worry about the pin, because, for example, if I just castle, well, Bishop G5 is actually really annoying. I actually think this is kind of troublesome. Maybe Rook C7, but after Bishop takes, I take with the pawn. And maybe I don't want to split my pawns like this. I'm honestly... Maybe Rook C7 actually isn't that bad. Maybe allowing this Bishop G5 isn't bad at all. I mean, it's just split pawns. I don't think he can target my king's side too easily. So maybe this was actually a viable alternative. Like, I just finished the game like 5 minutes ago, so I actually did not think about this too much. Like, just playing Rook C7 and vibing. I didn't think about rook c7 and vibing. I just thought about, okay, I'll just prevent this, and I'm actually prevent bishop g5 and just castle next. But then he played knight c3. I actually never castled in this game. That's how sad my little king was. He never castled. So he played knight c3, and I was like, wait a second. Now if I castle, he's gonna play knight e4. And I was like, that doesn't look that good. This doesn't look that good, because if I take, I think he just plays this in-between move. And like if I do my own in-between move, who has more in-between moves? Well, I run out of moves, which is the issue, I think. I think maybe he just takes like this. And, well, he has 3 minor pieces and I have 2. So, instant rewind. So yeah, after castles and knight e4, I just thought, oh damn, this actually looks not pleasant. I think this is bad. I think this is very bad. I think it's very, very bad. And so I was like, okay. Well, I can't castle. I was like, wait a second. I'm a genius. I'll just go queen. Not literally. But I thought this was a good resource. Queen b6. Attacking the pawn. What my opponent said to me after the game was actually maybe instead of h6 here, he said that's pretty slow. Maybe I could have gone queen b6 immediately. And maybe that would have been a much better use of a tempo. Because now I get out of the pin immediately, and maybe I can either force a trade of the knight or move my bishop. I have, that type of stuff. So maybe that was a better alternative, which is queen b6 immediately. And maybe this position isn't so bad after all. Like maybe I'm doing pretty great here. And I still thought after h6 and queen b6, I'm like, okay, nice. My opponent is in the think tank. I'm actually doing like this. I'm still up a pawn. Like at the end of the day, I'm up a pawn. He has activity. He has the bishop. He has a nice Catalan bishop. He has, his position isn't bad at all. He's got great control of the position. But still, like I'm up a pawn, and you do have to eventually like prove that pawn, that you have enough compensation for it. I was like, okay, queen b6. This is cool. Awesome. And then he took on d7. Which of course I don't have any in-between move. I don't have any in-between moves because after bishop takes and king f1, then if I take back, well now knight a4 happens and spaghettios. I lose the bishop on f2 because all of the dark squares are covered. So I obviously cannot take the pawn. I can't do an in-between move. That's good. So I take back. And he goes knight e4. And suddenly, like, knight e4 is played with 51 minutes. So the game is, time control is 80 minutes with a 30-second increment per move for the first 40 moves. And then after the 40th move, we each get an additional 30 minutes. And we still have a 30-second increment. So it's a very long game. It can be a very long game. Today it was not, but it can be. And he played knight e4 with 51 minutes. And then I spent 13 minutes here because I actually realized this position was tougher than I thought, which is crazy because like 2 moves ago, I was like, okay, I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. And then 2 moves later, I'm like, wait a second. I'm actually seeing issues here. There are actually lots of issues. For example, if I go knight of 6, I think I was thinking here for a while. I think he can just take and go bishop e3. And I think this is probably fine for him. No, well, not just fine. So like, where do I put my queen is a big question. I think queen d7 is the most natural move, but then suddenly the bishop is coming to f4 and then d6, and I'm like, what? In what world am I castling? Like actually, like when am I gonna castle? Like, I don't even know where to go. Like, bishop b6. And I don't have knight d5. At least I didn't feel like I had knight d5. I actually even calculated this, like doing weird stuff like queen takes d6. But I was like, why am I doing this to myself? This looks miserable. Um, Although maybe it's not that bad. Okay, wait, that's bad. Okay, yeah, that's bad. Never mind. So so yeah, it felt really tough. Maybe I can go like queen b5 here, maybe. But I also didn't know if he was going to take on c5. Maybe he takes on f6, and but this actually doesn't look as bad. So I think he would have taken on c5, and I was like, okay, two knights versus two bishops in a position where I only he is better, and I feel like I'm gonna get tortured for the rest of my life. So I'm like, okay, this is a bit slow, but I'm gonna play bishop e7, and I knew he'd most likely play bishop f4, or I mean, he thought for a while here, for another 15 minutes, he thought here, because there are a decent amount of alternatives, like bishop e3 and then bishop f4, or bishop f4 immediately. He decided to go bishop f4 immediately, which I think is probably the best move. I have probably the best move. And I thought I had this resource of e5. Um, and honestly, like I think already after bishop e7, well, already here, I'm like, oh man, this position sucks. Like this like sucks. I actually, I considered weirder moves like knight e5 or I don't even know. The issue is I can never castle because the knight on d7 is hanging. Like that's the issue. Like the knight, like my the placement of my pieces, I just need two more moves. Like if you just give me a nice guy and give me two more moves, I think I have a great position. I'm up a pawn, but I don't have two moves, and my pieces are kind of off center a little bit. I just need a little bit more time, but I don't have that. And so here I felt kind of bad, but I thought okay, after bishop e7 and after bishop e4, I have this awesome e5, and then I can move my knights or something like this, and then castle. And I'm actually doing pretty okay, and this is where I really messed up, and just in terms of my calculation, because he just played bishop h3, and I totally missed that move. This position sucks already. I've concluded after this game has concluded. My conclusion, my summary is that this position sucks already. And so like, okay, if I'm not playing e5, what am I doing? Like, okay, if I go knight f6, then he has a check attacking my rook. Presumably I take, and in what world am I castling? How am I getting this rook in the corner out? And this doesn't look very good. So I did not like this. Like any scenario where I move, I can't castle because the knight's still hanging. So the question is like, what am I supposed to do? Like if I don't play e5, what am I supposed to do? And so I played e5, and after bishop h3, I was just thinking to myself, why are you so freaking stupid? Is anyone stupider than you? How is this? Why? And then I thought about it for a few minutes, and you know what? This actually isn't so bad. Like I'm up a pawn, he's just gonna take it back. Sure, my king is in the center, but how hard? Like, is it really that easy to attack the king? Like, how is it? Is it really that easy? Like, I actually don't think this. You know what? Maybe it's not so bad. You know, like, well, I can trade. I can probably trade some more pieces eventually, and like, I don't see any checkmates yet. So you know, I'm not better. I'm most likely definitely worse, but you know, it's okay. So I just play rook d8, and I calm myself down. You're not so stupid. You're only a little bit stupid. And then we trade, and he takes. I mean, of course, I just calculated like random stuff, like taking on an f4. And I was like, huh, this is mildly interesting. Um, I don't think it's good, but like for example, if he just goes, I think he would have doubled and take, and it's not mildly interesting. It was just a waste of time of calculation probably. But I know it's good to calculate random in between moves like that. Anyways, waste of time. I I we trade, and here um I played f6, which is really ugly because the first thing you notice is wow, them light squares are juicy. Them light squares are naked. Those light squares like are the weakest light squares known to man. Like those light squares, like no one is ever defending those light squares ever. And so yeah, I was aware of that, and but I was like, it's actually going to take him a bit of time to actually target those light squares because like he would have to reroute the knight to something like this, or I don't even know. Like he have to reroute his knight somewhere because his knight's guarding blocking the square, and there's really like nothing that he can't really attack the light squares that easily. He needs a couple more turns. And in those couple more turns, hey, I can go king e6, I can go king f7, I can bring my rook out to d8 or c8. So I didn't really see any way for him to possibly attack. Like I was calculating stuff like queen a4 check, and I was like, okay, awesome. If he does something like this, I can go queen c5, and then if he takes, then I can either take the bishop or take the knights. I'm not sure which one yet. And we're trading pieces and we're getting to an end game, and I'm not checkmated. And hey, I got a centralized king, so if we start trading pieces, maybe that's not so bad. Um, so queen a4 was no good. I thought he might go bishop d4. Bishop d4 is kind of, well, I just moved my queen to a square it already wants to go to, so that's nothing to worry about. I was looking at weird moves, like funny moves, like okay, what happens if he plays bishop d6 here, and like goes rook d1? Like this is kind of funny and silly and goofy. Like I probably go king e7 and queen c7, and my king is still not so happy, but it's not. I'm not crying yet. So I thought about weird moves like that. I thought actually maybe I just go rook d8 here instead of taking the bishop, but maybe I take the bishop too. I was like, I'm not sure yet. It's a weird move, so I don't think he's gonna play it. But I was just calculating that too. Um, so I was thinking about a lot of things before f6, but I played f6 anyways because like am I really gonna go like rook d8 and allow him to take both pawns, or am I really gonna go rook g8? Maybe rook g8 is the best thing to do, but I mean, still the square is hard to defend. But maybe I go g6 yet. I don't know. Like, I didn't really feel like there was any alternatives because if f6 works and I get my king to safety on e6 or f7 or maybe both, then I don't think I'm that bad. Like, if it works well. But he played rook d1, king e6, and after his next move, I resigned. So I'm gonna, if you want to guess the move, I can take my sip of water. So feel free. This position, with his bishop hanging, he plays knight d6, and I resign. So yeah, so those light squares I mentioned, yeah, they're weak, and yeah, that queen's getting in like now. Like yeah, that and the geometry here is actually really really cool. When you think like the knight guarding the f7 square and the rook blocking off any hope of the king's escape, it's actually honestly very very beautiful. So just to put things on the board, take with the pawn, checkmate. Take with the king, checkmate. Take the knight. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to play, you know, down. I have two pieces for the queen, whatever. But then, of course, at the end of the line, he has queen d2 check, picking up the knight. So because of how beautiful 96 was, I was like, I can't keep going. This movie is too beautiful. And I resigned. Oh, of course, King D7. There's Knight C4 check, picking up the queen. So yeah, 96, I resigned, which is very, very sad. And that is my very first game in episode 1 of the road to National Master. I'm so close, guys. I'm 1 game away. I'm really close. I'm really close. I did reach a peak of 1996 a couple months ago. I was really close to 2000. USCF. So we're talking about USCF tournaments, United States Chess Federation tournaments, of course. The this event is also FIDE rated, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that was tough. I'm not 2300 yet, or 2200 for that matter. In fact, so now I'm going to change the screen, run the game through game reviews so you guys can see how we did compared to what I thought about the game, how we actually did. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the next one. Next recaps. Let's go.